Boom! We're back, and today we're finishing up Matt and we're moving on to Mike and seeing how he does. In the last video, Matt went against 4 different opponents and he submitted them all to advance to the championship bracket. We ended the video with Matt in his first championship match where he went against an old rival. But before we continue, check out my link in the description below so you can get awesome gear from X Marshall just like we were all wearing at the tournament. We continue from the last video where Matt was working a Kimura from the half guard position. Matt let go of the Kimura with one hand so he could use the hand to help him pass the guard, and he maintained control with the other hand over the wrist to continue his attack. So to answer the question on the last episode of Blue Belt Z, can Matt finish this Kimura? Of course he can. He's the master. He wins this match by Kimura and he's moving on to the championship match. We bust out our handy dandy diagram to see that Matt has one opponent left. However, his opponent came equipped with his own scissors because winning this is just as good as winning ADCC. Matt steps onto the mat and he's ready to take action against his new opponent. This is Matt's most important match of the day because it's for the gold medal. And this time, his opponent's name is Thomas. Both men start out by doing the feeling out process. Matt first lunges forward, but it turns out to be just a lot of holding and grappling each other until they can decide where they'd like to go from here. They're both trying to work some better angles, but then Matt goes in for some quick trips, which is going to be his downfall as Thomas whips him around for the first takedown to get 2 points. Matt has his right leg high in the neck and he's trying to look for a triangle, but Thomas is doing a nice job shoving the leg down so he can square back into the guard and now he doesn't have to worry about the triangle choke anymore. Matt goes to break his posture because he wants to keep him low so he can start setting up his own attacks. As his opponent stands, he starts looking for a flower sweep variation, but his opponent does a nice job by re-securing the guard position and he doesn't get swept. They get reset in the middle, but not a ton of action is happening at this point. Matt's still trying to open the guard and find new attacks, while his opponent is trying to maintain control and start standing to look for a standing pass. Matt then is going towards De La Hiva, and as he does this, he does a great job extending the opponent. He's not able to finish any sweep on him as his opponent turns in, but it leads into the next attack where he can start setting up his triangle. Grabbing the shin is difficult because of his opponent's posture, so he's going to transition to going over the leg. I'm shouting at Matt to go under leg instead of over, but his opponent gives him a blessing by turning into an omoplata. Matt has some nasty belt control over his opponent and he's able to continuously push him forward by using this belt. I would like to see Matt grab the wrist, but he goes towards the collar right as the referee puts me back in his guard and I'm having another battle trying to get the camera around him. Eventually I pass his guard and Matt is applying an immense amount of torque on that shoulder. Look at the angle that the arm is at. It looks like he's about to break it and he continues to push forward until he gets the tap. By finishing his opponent with another omoplata, this awards Matt the gold medal in the blue belt gi division. We stop by Butter Knife Boy to see him step onto the podium as he's wearing his gold medal. And wow, he looks super stylish with that medal. Great job by our champ. But wait, what's that? It's time for the Asian Persuasion, Mike, to do his no-gi matches. Mike was doing the advanced no-gi division, so despite being a blue belt, he could go up against even black belts. His first match was against a brown belt named Luke. The standard handshaking takes place and then the match starts off immediately. Mike listened to me and he went for a quick guillotine at the start because this guy always liked to pull guard. So if you can go for the guillotine, you can set up the offense on your terms. The next step was to try and pass this guard. Mike was looking to push the knee down and then go for a backstep. As he was going for the backstep, Luke was following him, but that's great for our game plan because it puts him in the front head and Mike was setting up a great guillotine. Mike wasn't able to get his right hand high enough, so he had to bail on the guillotine and they were working in the standing position. Unfortunately, as soon as they stood, he got lateral dropped and he was put down into his guard at the edge of the mat. Since he got lateral dropped, Luke starts off with a quick 2-point lead from the takedown, and Mike is looking to advance again by sitting up and looking for another guillotine. Instead, he uses this to escape. Now from this standing position, Mike's going to go for his own offense. They're doing some hand fighting, hits a quick arm drag into a single leg. From the single leg, he immediately pushes him down and he gets right into side control, and now you get to hear my point scoring rant. If you take them down and you land in any position, you get 2 points. If you pass the guard, you get 3 points. So if you take them down and you land in guard, it's 2 points. Or if you take them down and land in mount, it's still 2 points. That's bullshit, and it should be if you land in side control, you get 2 points, plus the 3 points because you passed the guard in the air. Instead, the score is 2-2, and they're both fighting to get a lead now because the score is tied, as they both have 1 takedown each. Luke is trying to go under the leg of Mike because he wants to get a point lead advantage. He starts setting up an ankle attack here because you can go for any footlock you want in this division. Luke is able to work the leg enough where he can start going belly down and look for an ankle attack. Mike is doing a nice job and he gets his leg free, however he goes towards the guillotine and front head, which gives Luke the sweep. Again, Mike isn't able to get his right arm high enough because we have a special side control guillotine he could have attempted, but he wasn't able to get the elbow where he needed to be, so Luke was able to free his head, so the score is 4-2. Now Mike is trying to work out and he goes for the front head and they're back in the standing position. Luke frees his head and then he decides that why would he risk losing this match in a wrestling contest when Mike is the better wrestler, and he pulls guard. It's a smart game plan by Luke because it's very easy to hold a closed guard position, but this is why I believe that Jiu-Jitsu needs stalling calls because Luke doesn't go for the most attacks and Mike is constantly trying to open this guard so he can try and pass. You'll see that Luke goes under the leg a few times because he wants to try and get some things going. However, anytime the guard is close to being open, he'll immediately bail on the leg and he'll go back to locking up the guard so he can maintain this position. This was a very common strategy at the tournament where if you had the 2-point lead, go to close guard and then wait. Or sit on top and close guard but refuse to pass, just keep pushing into them so they can't work against you. Luke is going for the leg here, but Mike does a nice job pulling the leg back and then he shoves his head into the chin to destroy his base. He's trying so hard that he's squatting out of here, but unfortunately he runs out of time and Luke is the winner by a 2-point lead. Mike was pretty tired after the match, but he did go against a brown belt and I still believe Mike could win if they were to run it back. About 5 minutes pass by and then Mike is ready for his next match against Jared. Mike was feeling a lot better after his first match, and now he was in competition mode, so this match was quite a bit better. They're both immediately tying up, and Mike is looking for his first entry for the takedown. He's grabbing inside wrist control, then he uses the same takedown from the last match, which was the arm drag into the shot, and he earns himself 2 quick points. As soon as he lands on top, he's immediately looking for a footlock on Jared. Jared's doing a nice job not allowing this footlock to work because he's able to kick his leg free, so Mike comes back on top so he's not going to get swept and have a tied score of 2-2. Jared looks for the shoulder crunch, but he's way too low on the arm. So Mike is able to work past the guard even though he went to the same side that his arm was controlled. They sit in side control for a while until Jared is able to get his leg out. Once he has his leg out, he's going to push off and bridge and try and turn into Mike. Mike was ready for this attempt, so he pushes him back down and he lands in north-south as Jared looks for the ghost escape. Jared has a bit of success, but he's not using his legs enough, he's just using his arms, so he wasn't able to re-guard. Even though he's in bottom side control, he goes for the Americana like bath salts bend. Unfortunately, this doesn't work and they get reset in the middle of the mat, and this time he's going to spell his own doom as he tries to go over Mike's arm and look for Kimura. Since Mike's legs aren't controlled at all, Mike is going to turn with this Kimura and he's going to set up his own far side armbar to get the tap. Great job by Mike to get his first submission in the no-gi advanced division, and now he gets to move on to the next one. Unfortunately, his opponent didn't show up, so here's a drawing of what the match would have looked like. I know, I'm quite the artist, but Mike probably won that match by an armbar. Also, let's just take a moment to notice how good the cam girl looks right now. This is the guy that Mike was going up against next. No, not the stud in the front, the dude in the back with the rash guard on. This guy's name was Kenneth, and just ignore that I sat on the completely wrong side for who my fighter was. They shake hands and both of them start working their ties on the inside to see who can score the first takedown. Mike decides it's going to be him by dropping his level and then attacking the knee, and he also quickly passes his guard to establish a 5-point lead over his opponent. He's wasting no time and he switches his hips because he's looking for Mount to get 4 more points. Mike has a wonderful 9-point lead over his opponent, but they're going to be reset in the middle of the mat because they were getting too close to me and everybody else. But if you want to know how Mike continues to do in this role, especially when he's starting on Mount and he has such a good lead, you're going to watch the next video to see how he does.